Well, howdy.
Hi.
I didn't do that right, did I, Colin?
Mine was really weak too.
If you'd done this,
You'll play your cracks.
does it matter? Probably does.
I was just with a couple of them in the VU leadership team who were setting up the table.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good. We're a little low on numbers. I know I've heard from a couple of people of various things. I think Annie's on her way, and a couple other people have other stuff, issues going on. So welcome back, Becky. She'll be with us the majority of this week. I was reading through journal assignments this morning, and you'll see kind of a lot of my comments back to you said, make sure you ask Becky about that this week. She's got a lot of experience and knowledge that she can share with us. And also, I think that some of the concerns and or questions that you identified will hopefully become a little bit more clear throughout this week and certainly into next week. But if you're feeling like they're not becoming clear, make sure that you're asking questions along the way. As far as what we'll do today, Alyssa and Christian will get us grounded and present into our space and sort of away from the weekend and whatever else we're needing to leave at the door. We'll then spend some time working on empathy and mindful presence. I've asked Becky to make sure she incorporates a break, so that'll be based on flow and energy, and we'll make sure we get a break in there. We'll then do some motivational interviewing, so bringing to life your reading for the weekend and allowing you to do some practice of that, and I think see some of it in action. With a demonstration by Becky. So, and then I'll make sure we're feeling ready for tomorrow. Any questions before we rock and roll? Okay. We'll turn it over to Alyssa and Christian.
Okay, so we're going to do a simple grounding exercise that we got off of headspace.com, cool. And this is going to be a guided one, so just get ready to listen.
I'm so relieved I'm not the only one who can have difficulty.
It was connected before, and then I was like,
oh.
Yeah. There you go.
Or whatever suits you best. I'd like you to begin with your eyes open. Not really staring at any one particular point, just a nice soft focus, just aware of the space around you in the room. And as you sit there, I'd just like you to take a couple of nice big deep breaths, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. As you breathe in through the nose, just focusing on the chest expanding, the lungs filling with air. And as you breathe out, just noticing how the body softens each time it exhales. Now as you do just these first few breaths, I'd like you to do it loud enough so that if someone was sat next to you, they'd actually hear you breathing. Just for these first couple of breaths. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And with the next out breath, just gently closing the eyelids and just feeling the weight of the body as it presses down against the chair or the floor below. Just noticing noticing whether the weight falls directly down through the middle of the body, or perhaps a little bit more to the left, not to the right. Just feeling the sensation in the soles of the feet resting on the floor. And with the hands and the arms just resting on the legs or in the lap. Just bringing the mind into the body, becoming more aware of the physical senses. And in just the same way, it's like you begin to notice any sounds. I think very often we see external sounds as something sort of potentially gets in the way of a quiet mind. But in this exercise, we're actually going to use these different sounds. So just for 10 or 20 seconds, just noticing all the different sounds going on around you right now. And then just bringing the attention back to the body again. Just starting to notice how the body feels right now. Very often we're so busy doing things, thinking about things, we're not really aware of how the body feels. So starting off at the top of the head, just take the next 20 seconds or so, just to gently scan down through the body. Just starting to notice which areas feel perhaps a little tight or tense in some way. Which areas feel nice and relaxed. So we're not trying to change anything, we're not judging it, we're just building up a picture, starting to notice how the body feels. Scan down towards the toes.
Thank you guys, that was nice. Do I need to wake everybody up? We're all so calm. Well, I'm excited to be back here, and I get to talk about things I love. Well, I love the Enneagram, but I love everything we're going to talk about this week, too. It's really at the heart of what I do all day, every day, and have for decades in my life. So it's very familiar to me, and it's something that I love sharing and teaching and being with people around, which is the presence, the empathy, and really how to listen to people well. A lot of trust is involved in that, and so forth. So we're going to get to that, but before we do, because I haven't seen you guys for a while, and you were kind of at the halfway marker this month. It's shocking. I would just like to hear how it is going for you guys. What do you think is fantastic? What do you need more of? You know, just give me some sense about where you're at and how it's been so far. Catch me up with you guys, really.
We had a coaching demonstration in class, and then I thought for everybody that was just a really real experience. We gave everyone a first-hand experience with what coaching was really like.
And you like that?
Yeah.
It helps you feel into it, doesn't it, when you see it happen? What other things what are you getting from this? I mean, that's another way to answer the question, this whole course so far.
It could be something simple like taking care of yourself through grounding exercises or yoga, or that one day we were using the tennis balls and taking care of your body.
Oh, rolling around to different muscle groups? Yeah, that's good.
I really noticed the importance of empathy and that, like, I noticed how much I use the writing reflex just in like, everyday conversations, and the importance of like stepping back and how maybe sometimes people just want to be listened to, not like fixed. And so like, it really like brought like my attention to how often I use that and kind of like giving me opportunities to step back and practice empathy and listening and not just trying to fix it.
That's cool, because that means you're noticing it when you're doing it or after you've done it. I mean, we don't always notice it while we're doing it or before we do it. We sometimes catch it after we've done it, and then we have to catch ourselves up to it. So that's great. Anything else you guys are thinking has been really great this 2 weeks that you've been active? That stood out for you? Are there questions you have from last week that I should be aware of? Or do you want to just toss those out? Welcome. Do you want to toss those out when you get there? Because it sounded like there's some things that I was saying to Jane when she said there were some questions you guys had from last Friday, for instance, with the coaching demo, that I would be able to give you some very specific strategies on and so forth. So if I know those questions, I can answer them or help out with that stuff. So don't hold back. And like I said, just interrupt me if you need to, because I'm used to that. I really like that actually, because it's in the moment. So what we're going to start off with is I'm going to send this handout. You guys start that direction. It's just that's okay. I crisscross. Oh, I didn't get the little ears. I crisscrossed them, so you'll be able to grab one.
No, I've had it before, so.
It was a more subtle color before.
Oh, so you did sneak it by me.
How many pages are we supposed to be doing?
Well, it's crisscross, so there's, I think there's 4 pages. I know.
We just take a
That's
step.
crisscross, so that's the smartest to take a step.
Everyone take a step? Yeah. Yo, Christian, what's up? Hey, Mitch, you good? James, grab it. Mitch, you good?
Okay, so, remember when I talked about the Enneagram, there were body types, heart types, head types? So, just for a little schematic here.
Someone want to grab one for Nick? No?
He's coming today.
Right, do you want to grab one and take it to him?
Sure.
Is that someone able to deliver? Okay.
So, I'm going to frame up a lot of things today with those 3 segments of who you are, because even though that was an Enneagram configuration, when we're doing coaching, when we're talking with friends, when we're hanging out, when we're doing anything we're going to do, and be more self-aware throughout our lives, you always want to check in with those 3 centers. How's my body doing? What are my feelings? What's my head doing? What are my thoughts up to? So, I put in the front of this cover sheet to me, a very important statement, which is you cannot teach humans anything, which is kind of like fix them or whatever. You can only help them discover it within themselves. And there is probably nothing closer to the heart of coaching than that, because coaching is entirely about helping the other person do the discovery of themselves. You happen to be a person who's there with some skills and good questions and ways of presence to help them connect with themselves, but nothing is about us teaching them to do it. So we're going to start off with an exercise before I tell you anything about any of this stuff and see what you guys discover, because this exercise will do this very thing. So therefore, the order of events. So I want you to, these are gonna be in pairs, so your dyad partner, pick someone you have not done anything with so far and don't know that well. And get together with them scattered around the room so we can do that exercise. I don't know you. I'm coming your way. Okay, we have an even number. Okay. So what I'm going to do is before you, before we even do what I'm going to lead you into first, decide who's going to go first. Pick an A and a B. And let's do it this way. Let's pick, I'll decide. The person with the longest hair goes first. Do you guys know? Can you tell?
I have no idea.
I think you do. We'll count the, okay, so, are you gonna do this one?
They're even, so we'll just, whatever you want, if you want us to float or.
No, I don't care, that's fine. Okay, so what I want you to do before you start to talk is I'm gonna guide you through an internal pathway to yourself to connect with a story of your own. So if you just want to get comfortable in your chair, similar like we just did with these guys for our grounding, and you know, closing your eyes helps a little bit. This is actually an exercise I do with the medical students up in Minneapolis, and it's a powerful exercise. So close your eyes and kind of go back in time in your life and let something pop up. You could have been 5 years old, or it could have been yesterday. And think of a time when something was going on, a memory you have where you really were feeling a disappointment or a loss or something that was happening that you were distressed about. And it was a situation where you were able to talk to at least one person, if not more than one, about it. And see if you can go back to that experience and remember what it felt like, kind of what was your environment, who was there, what was around you, were you outside, inside? What kind of a day was it and time of year? Some of you might remember smells in the air or sounds or even the clothes you had on. You can connect with that. And remember the person you talked to and what it was about them and if there was a person that was very helpful, see if you can recall what it was about your conversation that was so helpful. What did they say? What did they do? What did they not do? See if you can kind of tuck those away for a moment, and I'll have you write them down in a moment. But also think about if there were people you talked to about that, or maybe at the same time there were additional people with you that had maybe other kinds of things to say that were or were not helpful. If you go to a different scenario, that's fine, to find a situation where maybe the person you talked to, it didn't work out that great. You didn't really feel like you walked away with what you needed. And then when you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes and jot some notes down if you would like, if you have your paper with you. And then you're gonna share these with your dyad partner. So on the personal story sheet, you'll see spaces to write what people did or said or didn't do that were helpful, and what message you got from that, and then the unhelpful one or messages. And then begin to share with your partner, and I'll give you a signal for that. So take just another moment to jot your notes down. so whoever is deemed to be number A, or letter A, first person, go ahead and share with your partner, and as the listener, that's all you're gonna do. You're not going to be asking more questions, you're just going to listen to their story. It's a little bit of a monologue, if you will. And just let them explain the story to you, and you just listen. And then I'll give you a few minutes, and I'll ding again, and we'll switch partners, or switch roles. So, okay.
So, probably shouldn't I met I saw him in high school, went to like the stadium, made it to finals, and first time and this like that dancer had like a last
Really? So she was what, the second cohort?
So we were like the last dance and when I like turned on my light, I got I freaked out. Like I didn't like stop dancing, but then like kind of like as my dance started, I was really correcting in the light line because our girls told us to get it on or like to make a straight line. And so like I got him on and everything was like okay, and the rest of the dance was fine, and I didn't hurt myself too bad. But like I walked off and I just had music like in my head, and I was like, oh my god, I just messed that up for last year, and I was kicking myself in the butt. And then one of my teachers came up to me, she was like, oh my which I still do. And then I like stepped out and now I had help, and then like our coach, we're all like terrified, came up to me and she like gave me a hug, and she was like, that's exactly. So like those her words, like she made it sound sincere and like she was calling about it, and it was like reassuring to me that I was like protected and like
I live in Rochester.
and be okay and stuff. But so it was just that message about like everything's gonna be okay. But then like also some of my friends were like sympathized with her empathize made it like must be really scared and stuff not happen.
That speaks to the person who's working
Like
with
they could understand like what I was going through. But like what was helpful was like when I asked when my friend said me, she like showed me what it sounds like. And I was like, oh my gosh, that looks so bad, like I miss this girl so much. And then she was like, so like that like made me scared, and then like so it made me feel like they're telling me it wasn't okay, but I was like, maybe they're just telling me that because when you described it to me, I was like, it's worse. And so it was just kind of that was made it feel like it was a big deal, but it ended up winning. Kind of dramatic, and I still like to this day like wow, me like that was like a really like that was a change ever, but people like I imagine right now.
It's funny, whatever it is.
It's really, it's not on camera, so I don't know what happened.
I was like wondering if you want to. I just kind of like with that. It's not like sick or anything.
Like I said, I played Tuesday for the first time. I started.
So, switch partners and let the other person tell you their story, and you listen to what they have to share.
I worked I was really frustrated.
And she wouldn't understand like the pressure that I was going through, the stress that I was feeling. And then she would try to suggest things. She would make certain suggestions based on like really nothing or why. Like I'm feeling like this. She's like, well, is it school? Are you doing too much? Is she busy? Maybe you should be doing track. Maybe you should be doing cross country. You need to stay consistent. You need to go to church. And like if I just do more and not doing more, like you don't know what you're talking about right now. This is not something that's considered and everything. And then I did start to like see like this is our biggest crazy and as like with just person that's I'm like there and here's your diet for the week. I was out to the okay, I thought there's some meals now. Tell me what I was doing wrong, like try to scare me and then just be mad. Like for the first month it was crazy because all she was like in every session she was listening to what I was saying. Like the reflect back, she would like reflect back. We would have like a lot of this and she was just very quiet and when I felt like this was going on for like a month about like listening to anything and I was getting frustrated with myself. I was like, I'm so frustrated. I'm not doing the things that she's telling me to do. I'm not doing this. Like, aren't you doing this? And she's like, no, like, you're gonna get along on your own time. Like, we're gonna like work on this. It's just gonna be going. And so she was so patient. And it was just very like listen to what I was saying. She would never.
So take a moment to wrap up your story.
They didn't just not having someone be like, just keep stressed. She would never say therapy was down. Stop listening. Yeah, I went to like I went to and then I got to
So what I want to do is first hear from you guys around some content of your story and the outcome, and then the process you just did with your partner. So in your story, when you were talking to the person that did or said things that really helped you and worked, what was it, we want to list out, what was it they said or did that did that? What were their behaviors and whatever you want to put down? In other words, what did you just share with your partner?
Talking to friends.
You talked to friends?
Yeah.
But
About the situation.
okay, you talked to your friends about the situation, and what did they do that was so helpful to you?
Well, my friend just let me talk it out and just rant, even though I repeated myself a bunch of times.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I guess two things. One, they never like made assumptions and then offered advice necessarily. And then the other one was they were very patient with like what I was saying and like what if I like was yeah, just patience.
Okay.
Didn't tell me what to do or feel.
What did they do? Did they do something instead of that, or?
Yeah, they just kind of talked me through it a little bit and just like were there for support, but wasn't necessarily in my face about like what was happening or like what I needed to do in that situation.
So again, no advice. Okay.
Well, in my case, there's this one time where I was in kindergarten. I was really upset one day, and my teacher took the time to talk to me after class and to see what was wrong and to come up with ways to correct the problem.
So she particularly sought you out. She didn't wait for you to come to her.
They were very, like the person I talked to was very sincere and felt as they really cared about my issues.
How did they show you that?
They gave me a hug and they just were reassuring.
Okay. Somebody else had?
objective opinion, not really saying, oh, this is what I think you need to do. It was more like, here's what I think, and if you want to think about it this way, it wouldn't be, it's just another way to look at it.
So he gave you a perspective, but he wasn't attached to your acceptance of that, okay. Oops, gave me. Okay, somebody else had their hand up over there. Yeah.
I don't know exactly how to state this, but leaving time for silence, kind of, they didn't fill the time.
So, they didn't fill space when you weren't talking, or if you had to sit there, they let
Yeah.
you? Okay, great. I'm gonna put not, and didn't fill space. Okay. Other things you guys wanna toss up here that you experienced?
I guess for mine, they just reminded me of the big picture, kind of like the main goal I was going for.
That's another way of perspective, isn't it? Yeah. And Ty, how did they do that so that it worked?
Well, they were along, it was my parents that I talked about, and they were just along with me for my long row, so they went through my struggles with me, so they knew how I was feeling all the time, and they more just reminded me of how proud they were of me for how far I've come and everything like that.
So, probably some encouragement, or some, they revealed their feelings to you too. Okay. All right. We can keep adding to that, but, so if you think something you want up here, just tell me, we'll put it on that side. Let's write down what you discovered did not help. It always happens, and we are sometimes doing this for people, and sometimes we do these things to people, so sometimes we'll see ourselves in both camps. So what did you experience in a situation that did not help you?
When they tried to offer, like, I wasn't really like, looking for a solution really, but they tried to offer a solution, something that I could easily do that would just fix the problem.
Okay.
Like wasting time or effort or energy, like stressing over something that you can't change. So like, as opposed to using that energy or anything towards making it better, you're worrying about it. That does not help.
Right, so that would be, it hurts yourself.
Right.
Right. When you share that kind of scenario with someone else, let's say you are stressing about something and you're talking about it, which I remember the other day I was with you, you said you don't tend to do, but let's pretend. Have people...
I think we both kind of agreed that it doesn't help if they just say sorry instead, like, I don't want to hear sorry.
All right. What would you like to hear? Something, but not, sorry is not enough.
They just say sorry.
And so help me out with the energy. There's a lot of ways to say sorry. So how is it not helpful? When it's said in an unhelpful way, what's it sound like? Or feel like?
It feels like sometimes when they just come up to me and say, "I'm sorry," it's like not really meaningful. Like they just like don't know what else to say, so they just.
So it almost feels dismissive.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, what else did you guys find?
And it's kind of just the opposite of the other side of this, but when they make assumptions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, let me ask you, did you guys have scenarios where people said things that weren't helpful? Or did you find that you didn't have that many so-called negative experiences?
I'd say I try to avoid the negative experiences, so like if I have a bad conversation with somebody, I won't go back to them. But
Something I haven't seen on either list is body language. Have you experienced body language when you're sharing something important and the person that you're sharing it with had some kind of posture that didn't work for you? Or tone of voice, or more on the energy level of things?
Well, this is a different story, but I remember one time I was sharing something with someone who was like pretty personal and whatever, and I look over and they're like on their phone, like texting or whatever, and I remember feeling like, why am I even, you know, I mean, maybe they were listening, but it didn't just like, didn't look like they were listening.
Right.
Yeah, I think one time when I was telling someone, and I think one thing just to like point out about these is like, even like for the what didn't work, I think the person, it's not like the person was like purposefully blowing me off or anything, like it wasn't, I don't think it's like that. I think they just were doing things that they didn't realize weren't working, but it was still like out of a good intention. But when they were like walking around in the kitchen and like being busy and like
Multitasking.
yeah.
Same to the phone thing. Yes. Uh-huh.
This isn't to do with body language, but certainly comes off of the sort of unintentional, you know, trying their best to help. But I think of my mom's classic line of "this too shall pass."
Yes.
Like the "it'll all be okay" sort of Jedi mind trick that does not ever make me feel any better.
Yeah. There's a whole host of things that people often say that are of that nature, and we don't, like you were saying, we don't mean harm, but we don't help. And sometimes we do end up making people feel not heard. And so what does that do? But now we don't have the trust, so we're not going to share more with them. And whether it's your casual conversations all the way to coaching, one of the primary things we have to do is create trust. Because if trust doesn't happen, people don't open up. So here's something. Now remember I said your Enneagram type will have things where you naturally know how to connect with people and where you probably naturally don't that well connect with people. So I'll give you one of my faux pas. And I might have mentioned this actually last week or whenever I was here. I'm a 7. 7s are positive outlook. We are always looking for how something can work, how things can move forward. And that looks like a fabulous kind of attitude, which it is, and it serves me well. And the times it has tripped me up personally or with other people is when I'm not taking, it's similar to some other things that were said here, where I'm not really listening to what that person is experiencing, but I'm moving to my solution, and it's going to be positive. It's going to have a good spin on it. It might be not a fix-it solution, but the fix-it inside of it is a positive spin. So I'll never forget one time coaching a woman, and she was pretty distressed, and I could feel that. And we had kind of been with that for a little bit. And at some point in time along the conversation, I came out with some positive, well, now look at what is kind of good inside of this miserable situation, because I could actually see it that way. Only for her to come back and say, Becky, it's not that great right now. She was not happy. And I deserved that. Because it stopped me right there, and I thought, wow, I went over the line quickly because I wasn't noticing my habit of mind, that's what we call it in the Enneagram stuff, my habit of mind is to turn things to the positive. What that can do, if I'm not equally regarding of the truth now, is make them feel like I didn't hear their pain. And that doesn't work. Now, I was pretty embarrassed, frankly. I felt like I didn't want that to have happened, but it had happened, and I might not have noticed the depth of impact had she hidden that, but she didn't hide it. She let me know how it made her feel. And so I had to reel myself back and say, you're right. Tell me more about how you're feeling right now. Because the second piece of the self-awareness in that is I can't just keep on, I can't go down with the comment and get so caught in my own self-judgment of feeling embarrassed that I did that to not rectify it. So to say, wow, I really wish I had not have done that, and I did. It had this impact, and right then I have to switch it around and say, tell me more, I'm sorry. A simple sorry in a sincere way goes a long way, as we all know. So you also might, between now and tomorrow, because we're going to keep weaving through what we're talking about with presence and empathy and listening today through the whole week. So you might just take a peek back at your Enneagram type tonight before tomorrow and look at where is it that you might overuse some of the fix-it energy. You know, you're quick to create solutions or great ideas, or maybe you get too lost in their emotions with them and you're going down with them in the emotional path. So take a look at that tonight so you can have that handy tomorrow too. So here's what I want to do quickly next, because this morning is really fast. I would like these four, those four, maybe 3 and 3 on the back row, you 3 and you 3, and then you 4. Get into groups. Before I do that, I want to say a little bit, go ahead and get into your groups. And I'm going to ask you as a group to determine what you think is, I've got a handout for you to write on a worksheet, that you think are the qualities, or did I give it to you already? The qualities of good listening. Yes, you've got that page. So take that page and as a foursome or threesome, figure out together as many items as you can that you think are either conditions, it says at the top of that, conditions or qualities of deep listening. And this little exercise should help have started to get some of that rolling a little bit for you. And you'll have just about 4 minutes or so. See how many you can pound out.
I'm gonna go seek advice from someone. I need to either trust them or like trust the space I'm in.
I just want to make sure I have packets for the folks who aren't here.
Oh, yes.
Like full attention.
I will make sure you do, because I made 30 copies.
Okay.
I divided them out because I wanted to.
Okay.
It's like when
I think I was looking about the conditions for, I think she wanted to do like kind of like
And if you guys get stuck, think about what you feel like when you know somebody has listened to you really well. Or what you saw perhaps last Friday in the coaching demos. Maybe you saw something you thought, wow, that worked.
that's all negative about yourselves.
So take another couple minutes.
Not like, oh yeah, 10 minutes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Just like patience.
Oh, I think it's also helpful, like, is that you don't feel like you're in like a time constraint. Like it's a very open, kind of like time based reality.
Yeah.
I also think like solutions
Yeah.
I'm like a lot more.
Like,
Feels like you're
like
pressured.
instead of saying, like, keep trying harder to be there instead of, you should try harder.
Yeah.
Like, keep me motivated. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like motivation instead of kindness.
All right, let's see what your combined lists are. So would each group just tell me what you have? And if we've got this, if you have one that a group has already said, say it again, and then I'll know that has extra emphasis. Okay. What do you guys want us to know?
We said, do you want all of them or just like some of our top ones?
All of them.
Oh, okay. We said undivided attention,
Okay.
eye contact,
Yeah, yes. Okay.
engaged body language,
What does that look like?
like, kind of like, very, not like.
Open,
she was
not like,
not like leaning back, not like, kind of like zoning out, just very, just purposeful. A safe space that's confidential.
okay.
We said use your ears more than your mouth.
Good.
We said reflect and repeat what they said.
Reflect what they said?
Yeah. And asking questions mostly for clarification.
Okay.
To like remember to nod and say okay, and then like just let them know that you're like listening.
Do not.
Yeah. Nod
Okay.
and say yeah, just so you're not like the zombie kind of like staring at them.
Uh-huh.
Remaining objective, so like not choosing sides.
Okay.
We said accepting the silence, or like allowing for like moments of silence.
Okay.
Make sure that there's like no time constraints, that it's like an open time.
Okay.
Being in like a comfortable and relaxed situation that is very low pressure.
Okay. Physical space.
Yes.
Okay.
And that was it.
Okay. So, shall we go tier? So front tier?
We had trust. And then kind of like the undivided attention, but we had focused and full attention, so kind of.
Okay.
We said active in the conversation, so like nodding and just in there. Not making it about themselves.
Yeah. Okay.
Being accepting of the ideas that someone's sharing with you.
Oh, that was accept silence. So accept what they're saying.
Yeah.
Uh-huh, okay.
Yeah, non-judgmental too. And tone of voice.
And what do you want it to be?
Like soft and just not like getting angry and forcing their ideas on you.
Uh-huh.
And then patience and not making them rush.
Didn't I have patience over here? No, that was over there. Patience and not rushing.
And then our last one was motivation instead of like guidance.
Okay. Instead of guidance?
Yeah, instead of like somebody telling you what you should do, like maybe giving you ideas of ways to help you.
Okay. Is guidance the same as being directive?
Yeah, sort of.
Okay. Okay. Tier 2? What'd you guys get? Were you guys done?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Eye contact,
Uh-huh.
silence,
Accepting silence?
yeah, intentional.
Intentional, okay, so like intentional means like you're there to understand what's going on instead of just to listen. You're listening with the
That's great.
And then like a head nod and stuff. Facing each other.
So the head nod is kind of a big one here, okay?
Being patient.
Uh-huh. Did you guys say patience too? Yeah. But you wrote it, okay, sorry.
Open-ended questions.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Being able to see the big picture.
Uh-huh. So that was something like over here. So they give you perspective?
Yeah.
Or they hold a space so you can get not just tunnel
like you're
vision?
not getting trapped on in like their immediate concerns, but you're able to see the bigger also.
Yeah, and in context. Yeah.
Connecting personal feelings.
Can you say more?
Oh, disconnecting.
So like
Limited distractions and like being comfortable.
So this and limited distractions. Thought I had something up here like that, so no distractions. Anything else?
Being able to take it seriously.
Meaning take you seriously?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Confidentiality.
Mm-hmm. What is that?
Reflecting on what they said.
Reflection. Somebody said that, didn't they? Why is that sounding? Oh, here, right here. Uh-huh.
And then like leaning in and stuff.
I'm
Body
sorry.
language again.
Body
So-
language. So open. Yeah, so their body has to match their words and energy. Okay. Can you guys hang in for these next 3 groups and then lunch? Or, no, I don't mean lunch. Take that back. Okay, how about you guys, and then you guys?
Aware,
Oh, what's that mean for you guys?
like being aware of them, how, like even their body language, anything like that.
Uh-huh,
Eye contact,
uh-huh.
understanding,
Understanding was somewhere here. Oh, this, intention to understand. Uh-huh, got it.
being mindful,
And what does that mean?
just like how we've been talking about in class, just understanding for yourself and for them.
Okay. Okay.
Being present, so kind of body language-ish. Being engaged, so maybe head nodding or anything like that, just showing that you're there.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure it's in a good environment and that they feel safe. Being quiet, maybe, just listening.
Is that different than silence?
No, that can be about the same.
Probably the same.
Yeah. Yeah, body language, empathetic. And sincere.
Uh-huh.
you're comfortable and they're comfortable.
Uh-huh.
And then staying positive. Being compassionate. Then open and self-aware.
Okay. Next group. That's quite the list. I mean, really, you guys did great.
All right, well, we said nodding approval, expressing eye contact, having the two people face each other the whole time.
So rather than shoulder to shoulder?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then having patience. Restating, some of what the person has been saying.
Oh, that reflecting back?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Physical touch.
Can't see
like
it.
to express like sincerity.
Ah, mm-hmm.
Asking open-ended questions. Being in a comfortable area. Waiting to speak.
Uh-huh. So that's respecting silence, I'm gonna say, and timing perhaps?
Okay.
I mean, is that kind of what you mean, like you don't barge in and interrupt?
Yeah, like you wait for the person to finish their last thought before you begin speaking.
Right.
Then, having no distractions on you or around you.
Uh-huh, so that's a little bit like this multitasking thing, isn't it? Well, I think that's different. So, like the phone issue and
Yep.
other things, yeah. Food.
And then making sure that you're at physical homeostasis, so like if you say you're hungry, like you're not gonna be as focused as if you weren't hungry.
I like that.
And then confidentiality.
Uh-huh. Thank you. Last group.
Good. Yeah, eye contact and provided attention.
The body language?
Yep. Asking open-ended questions, just to make sure that you understand what the person is telling you.
Oh, here they are. I think somebody else said that too.
You said being quiet. Repeating, what they're telling you, just again, to make sure that you understand.
Is that reflecting back?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Showing interest, safe space. And then you said just not multitasking.
Mhm. Fantastic. That is an excellent list. And how easy is that to do? It depends. Sometimes it's not so easy. If I'm depleted or I'm tired or I'm hungry, like you guys said, or I'm cranky, it's hard to be there for other people. If I've taken too much on and I'm depleted, it's hard to take on listening to people. It's like, oh no, I've got to listen to somebody else, or, that's real humanness. So, well, why don't you guys take a break? Do you take 10-minute breaks?
5. It depends on what you've got for meeting. Depends.
We got a lot to do, and I may end up carrying some over to tomorrow. So if you could handle a 5-minute, that'd be great.
Question that I had, a few years in the office, maybe the difference between, or if there is between conditions and quality of listening versus behaviors of the coach. If I look at these, this is more like, this is kind of a set, like, environment, not necessarily things that you as a coach can say anything to the coaches.
Oh, yeah, we'll get more into that. That's great. And then let me see if I can.
Because I feel like
see
a lot
that.
of what they listed is, not or asking questions, and that's like
Yes,
things you
yes,
do,
yes.
not necessarily like
Uh-huh, I see what you're, I see what you're
foundation
saying.
of the.
So let's mark those. So this is, so this is, coaching.
The big eye contact. That's like, really, I don't know.
Let's mark some of these things with that. These are all, oh, look, there's Janet over there, and you're telling them something, so even. Casual conversation. It's not listening, I mean, not coaching. It's a tricky one. I see what you're saying. This is. Let's highlight some that may be particularly coaching, even though they can all work in a one-to-one conversation. So. It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, that's just one thing I was trying to find. Like this,
What floor are you
this
on?
is what I feel like you
Ah.
conditioning qualities.
Pesky second floor.
Oh, we're just the rowdy third floor.
We're the rowdy
third
All this,
floor.
Third floor sources.
Things that you should do as a coach.
Be rad. Be rad, the best CF around.
So.
Yeah, well,
I
if we didn't
think,
have red, it would see a good.
Hey, hey.
That's a pretty red. I'll keep this out when they get back. Maybe that's what they do.
Yeah, you're coming from
They're
me.
talking with their brother, sister, or,
Yeah.
you know.
Even like all this is, we kind of all know how to do this. And we kind of do a lot of things instinctively. We have to do it at it.
That's impressive, because I think,
Well, I think for all the students here, I mean, this is kind of. It's not too hard to.
I don't know where you got it. He got scared, but
Like intersection.
I saw you dressed.
I hear what you're saying, and I'll tell you, it is hard to do.
I did put it down. You know it is.
And maybe this is a
My friend was like, oh, let me get that.
And so for them to do that, making them smile, that's really good. Maybe they know that, and they're not doing it. That's where the rubber gets really on the road. So you guys, I have a quick question, talking to Colin. How many of these things you guys listed would you say you do on a regular basis with friends, family, brothers, sisters, dorm mates, housemates? Is this, are you thinking your day-to-day conversations or your coaching ideas when you made those lists? You're thinking coaching. Okay. How many of you are thinking coaching when you made those lists? How many of you are thinking just any interaction you have in life with whomever that works well? Okay. They go together. If you become really adept at being a great listener in your life, it will transfer to coaching, and if you become a great coaching listener, it'll become that way in your personal life. And there will always be really, really hard people for you to listen to because they trigger you. And we're going to talk about triggers later in the week, but there are those things that really get to us. And it doesn't take much. I want to say more about that for a minute, even though we're going to say a lot more about it on Friday. This whole process that we've been talking about the first 2 weeks and going into this week are really, really about the way this has been laid out, the program is laid out, is starting with self-awareness. And the more we practice self-awareness, the more we're able to catch ourselves when we do something and, I want to say fix it, and repair it sometimes with an apology or whatever we may need to repair it with. And so I would not want you to live under the impression that as coaches, any more than as a human being doing life, that you're not able to be triggered, because it happens. And it happens in very unsuspecting ways and out of left field. And so if we're not developing some practice of self-awareness, it's really easy to get caught and you're in it. So then you have to figure out, what am I going to do now that I'm in it? Would it help you for me to give a quick example? And then I want to do a demo of the motivational interviewing with you guys. We didn't have any 6s in this room, did we, on the Enneagram? All right, this is a 6 story. 6s have quite a lot of distrust in things and people in the world. So they see the lens of, I don't know if I can trust the situation, the person, whatever. So when I'm coaching, developing trust is everything. Because with 6s, if you don't develop a lot of trust, they won't open up. It's kind of becomes somewhat, not useless, but almost, because you can't go deep with someone that doesn't trust you. And so, for some reason, I think, I don't know why, around the trust, because I really work at being a very trustworthy person, which, by the way, I'm going to pause and explain that to you. How many of you guys would say you're trustworthy? Yeah. And we all kind of have an idea of what that means. We usually think, well, we're not going to lie that much, or I suppose everybody lies at some point, but we're not going to be dishonest in some ways and so forth. Well, one day I was kind of frustrated by a situation where I was saying this all to myself. I thought, why doesn't this person trust me? They can trust me. You know, I was really all agitated. So I do a lot of self-coaching. And so in that moment, I said to myself, well, Becky, you don't have any control over that. You can't make somebody trust you. Either they trust you or they don't trust you, but you can be the best person you can be, and they still may not trust you. So I thought, and so I heard my answer. I thought, oh, well, okay. And then I asked myself this question: what is it, Becky, that you're really wanting? And then what I heard myself say to myself was, I want to be trustworthy. Which means what you say to me is entrusted, what your heart is saying to me is entrusted, the way I will treat you is going to be with respect and dignity and all those things. Everything in my interaction with you will be above board trustworthy. That's what I wanted. Well, then I heard the words unhooked and reversed. And that's when my eyes lit up. And I thought, oh, I really want to be someone who is worthy of being trusted. That I have total control over. Whether you decide to trust me, I have no control over. But I have full control over whether I decide to be the kind of person that's going to regard your feelings, that's going to listen to you honestly, that's going to be